know this can't last forever.
As she was able to find the light glyph where Philip could not, it suggests that in the Titan's eyes, the two are not the same. And so maybe in activating this glyph within her dream, she could highlight this difference and finally prove herself wrong. This would be that definitive answer she needs that would allow her to finally recognize she's nothing like Bellows. I think it makes a lot of sense for this to be the challenge, as it's evident the Collector already knows about the glyph. He's also shown an understanding of its significance to Luce, and has probably learned a lot about her throughout his time with King.
Light glyph, go!
It looked like they were playing a game.
Yeah, with some kind of messed up version of my life. King must have told him about our adventures.
He clearly understands Luce's insecurities, as he's captured them perfectly in creating her dream, and so I think it's very likely that he would also understand that the light glyph is the key to helping her overcome them, as the light glyph represents the way the Titan sees Luce, and is only present in this challenge to reinforce that. I don't think she could use the glyph however she likes, but rather only in a way that would reflect that idea. I predict she'll have to use it back at the Titan's heart, as this would just make sense for like a billion different reasons. Not only has it already been highlighted in the trailer.
Where do you think magic comes from?
From the heart?
You need to choose yourself.
But in physically connecting the light glyph with the heart, it would perfectly illustrate its connection with the Titan. She also looks very pensive in this scene in the trailer, like she's trying to figure something out, or maybe make a connection. Maybe she's already realized the importance of the heart, but just can't complete the challenge as she doesn't have the glyph yet. Either way, I think the only way to win the challenge is to utilize the glyph in combination with the heart. It's the most fitting conclusion to this deeply personal challenge, and I predict that doing it any other way would lose the game. Once she gets the glyph, the Collector yeets her friends away, thus leaving Luce alone to take on King Anita by herself. This would be a very emotional moment for her, but also very short-lived, as it would all be so dire. I'm assuming this is why her friends all look like they're attacking, as they're really just trying to help her fight before they all get caught. This is when Amity gives her the glyph and tells her what to do, and then they all go back to being stuck as puppets, glossy eyes and all. As Luce would be no match for King Anita on her own, she'd have to try to get the challenge done as soon as she could. And I think that's why she's in a mad dash, running through the castle, as they're most likely right behind her, chasing her to the end. Her final destination would of course be the throne room, where she can finally return to the Titan's heart and win the game. She runs up to the heart with King Anita on her heels, and right as she's about to use the glyph, she hesitates, and she realizes something she should have noticed all along. This whole time she's been trying to beat the Collector on her own, to try to make things right, as if all the wrongs were on her. But now as she can finally go to face him all alone, she realizes that was never gonna be the answer. Just as it was hinted when her friends gave her the glyph, she doesn't have to do this by herself anymore. She never had to, and as she no longer believes that she's just as bad as Bellows, she can finally let go of this need to make amends, and accept that even she deserves a little help sometimes. In recognizing this, she knows she can't just beat the challenge, and that the only way to finally beat the Collector is together. She backs up from the heart and forgoes her only chance. If we don't get through this together, then we shouldn't get through it at all. She turns around to face a fast-approaching King Anita, and holds up the light glyph to use on them instead.
Us weirdos have to stick together!
In a flash of light, she's able to turn them both back to normal, just as she did with Ida back in episode 4. I love this idea so much, and I really hope it happens, as it finally brings Luce's magic full circle, baby.
Everything's come full circle, baby!
Now, I recognize they don't have black eyes in this form, and so the light glyph might not actually be effective on them. But on the other hand, they probably are just based on the owl beast, as the Collector already associates the beast with King Anita. It's also entirely possible that they only glow sometimes, with their eyes becoming black again when they're in a different state. And as we currently have no idea how these versions work, I think it's fun to speculate how they might be defeated. With King Anita free again, they'll stand by Luce's side, thus ready to try and end this now that they're finally back together. But as they've already used their only means of breaking through the game, they'll have to face whatever the Collector still has left. But as they stand and wait for their inevitable defeat, the walls of the illusion built around them start to crumble. The Collector floats through and gently lands down next to them. Not a giant, not a monster, not a Pac-Man, but just a little kid locked in awe of what they've done. Never imagining that Luce could break his spell, or that the puppets could either, or that anyone would choose to save their friends instead of winning, I think he'll finally realize what it means to be a friend, and that not only is it more powerful than he'd ever imagined, but that it's something that he's never really had, even with King. I think this is where that sad and lonely child will be revealed, and that he'll finally value having friends instead of winning the game.
The Collector is just a little kid. A scary, powerful one, but also sad and alone. I don't know. Let me talk to him. Immortal being to semi-immortal being.
This is where King will finally talk to the Collector, with Luce and Ida chiming in to talk to him as well.
You know this can't last forever.
And just as the Collector will wake up from his fantasy and recognize the proper way to make them real friends, so too will our heroes now wake up from their dreams and officially be back in the real world once again. I think this conclusion marks the end of Act 2, where the Collector will finally come over to our side. And as Luce will most likely wake up in the Collector's castle, I think she'll convince him to release all the puppets, and thus unite the entire Hexside squad just in time for the final act. King and Nita, however, will both be back wherever they were before, right before the Collector had sent them into Luce's dream. And I think them waking up is what we're seeing in this shot, as very fittingly they look to be surrounded by light glyphs. We can tell they're in the same place that they were before the dream, as everything around them is still covered in Bellows goop. And so I think it would make sense if they— oh my Titan, I haven't talked about Bellows. A cliffhanger? No!
Oh no! A twist!
Don't worry, it comes out in like an hour. Also, I just want to point something out. As its appearance certainly matches his style, this concept could be added as a new ability for the Collector, and as he's already exhibited a manipulation over puppets, this newly revealed power would fit right in with the others. Perhaps this clip is foreshadowing an attack from the Collector, as we know that he already has a vendetta against Luce, and so it's possible he could target her with a similar illusion, or even something more sinister like actually making a copy, with Luce having to literally battle herself to get to King, all while providing a chance to expand on the Collector's powers. We essentially got this exact thing with the Collector's Nightmare challenges, so just saying, we might actually get Creepy Luce. Like, it could actually end up being, like, a small side part or something. And I think that's so cool that it might actually be possible, even if it wasn't, like, a major part or anything.